Welcome back to the Champs Rants and Reviews. I'm Mark DeChamp Deschamps, and today I thought we would talk about some Nintendo news. When the day started out, I thought I knew exactly what I was going to talk about. There's a new Super Mario Galaxy poster. It's got some real interesting characters that haven't been announced yet for the movie. We know that Wart and Mouser from Super Mario Bros. 2 are joining Birdo in this film, which is very, very interesting. I'm very curious to see what kind of role they play. These characters, despite being very old, have not played a huge part in Mario canon in quite some time. So that's fascinating. We also got a new Yoshi popcorn bucket that's going to be released at AMC theaters to coincide with the film. So those seemed like great things to talk about. But then we got much bigger news. If you haven't been following, Aftermath broke the news that Nintendo of America has pressed. They're suing the United States government over Donald Trump's tariffs. So basically, if you haven't gotten a chance to see the lawsuit for yourself, basically Nintendo contends that since February 1st, 2025, just over a year ago, the US government has collected over $200 billion in tariffs, and basically companies have been, for the most part, eating that cost. And we know for a fact, if you've been following along at all with Nintendo over the last year, that this has caused some Nintendo products to go up in price. We know that Amiibo have gone up. We know that several peripherals have gone up. Basically, what ended up happening was last April at the big Nintendo Switch 2 event, like the big unveiling, we got prices announced for a ton of different products, and then the tariffs hit like the same day, and Nintendo ended up having to go back and change a bunch of prices. They kept the price of the Switch 2 the same. They kept the software pricing the same, but like I said, Amiibo and some peripherals like the Switch 2 Pro controller and the camera, they went up in price as a direct result of these tariffs. So we know, we don't know exactly how much Nintendo has been eating on these tariffs, but they chose very specifically not to raise the price of the console itself, which probably ended up benefiting them. The system has sold very, very well since it was released. But now they're going after the US government over this, and they are probably not going to be the only company that does, especially since the United States Supreme Court last month ruled that Donald Trump does not have the authority to place tariffs without going through Congress. It's one of the pillars of the United States, existence. No taxation without representation. It's right there. It's been a thing since 1776. But anyway, it's going to be so interesting to see how this plays out. As many people have pointed out online, Nintendo has a reputation when it comes to lawsuits. They have a very, very good law team, and you don't want to be on the receiving end of Nintendo's law team, especially right now because, the Trump administration has let go a lot of their lawyers and such over the last year. And they have been swarmed with lawsuits regarding many, many policies, including the tariffs. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out. I don't think Nintendo is going to be the only company that brings this type of lawsuit. Obviously, this sucks for the consumer. If you bought a Switch 2, you paid the same price Nintendo announced in the first place, but you didn't pay the same price that Amiibo were supposed to cost, or a Switch 2 Pro controller if you bought one of those, or anything like that. One of my big concerns for the last year is that these tariffs would kill the Amiibo line. I'm a big Amiibo fan. I'm a huge collector. But at the same time, you have to be realistic. Like, you can only pay so much for, these little plastic figures, when they end up costing the same thing as the software, or, they're getting close. You got to make tough decisions. And I've been surprised through the start of 2026, the last, 3 months, that we've gotten a lot of amiibo announced by Nintendo. Nintendo clearly has no intentions of killing the line, and it seems like they're selling. We keep getting announcements for new ones. There were some new Kirby ones announced, Kirby Air Riders ones announced this week. And those things run about $50, $55 a piece. So clearly Nintendo has no plans on stopping, but it will be very interesting to see how this just all plays out for them. One thing that was really interesting was I got to be at the Switch 2 media event last April, and I got to talk to Nintendo of America's Nate Beeldorf. And obviously, the tariffs were on the mind of every gaming journalist that was at the event. And, you know, Nate was a great interview, but you know, we got the company line. You know, we're not here to talk about tariffs today. We want to talk about, you know, the system and et cetera, et cetera. Maybe Nintendo right off the bat was thinking, you know, they would be pursuing legal action against the United States government. Maybe not. Who knows? But I can definitely see. I saw it. I understood at the time why Nate didn't want to address that, but makes even more sense now. So I don't know, man. It's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out. This is just, I don't want to say it's out of left field, because we all know, you know, companies are not happy about all this. Like, you can't be happy about all this. Like, having to charge consumers more when, you know, it's not your decision. It's not great, and you can only eat so much. You know, there's only so many profit margins on so many products, and eventually it doesn't make sense anymore to not pass it down. I'll be interested to see if Nintendo does win this lawsuit. I will be interested to see if they do anything for, you know, the fans. Probably not, but it would be like a really great show of goodwill if, like, every Switch owner was able to claim, you know, $20, $30 of eShop credit or whatever, you know. Just an idea, just a thought. Probably won't happen, but, you know, it would be a way to get some goodwill out of it. It does seem like, you know, overall, video game fans and Nintendo fans are all about this lawsuit. It's very funny because when Nintendo does, you know, do this sort of thing, when they do go after companies legally, you know, sometimes it can be a controversial thing, especially, you know, we've seen, you know, them go after, you know, gaming pirates, and, you know, we've seen them, you know, press charges against, the Pale World developers, you know, over, you know, its similarities to Pokemon. But this is not like that at all. Like, if you go on social media, I mean, people are ecstatic about Nintendo going after the United States government over this. It's going to raise some big questions. It may be tied up for years. Like, this might not be something that gets resolved. Unfortunately, I mean, when it comes to lawsuits and such like this, it can take several years. If you followed, you know, any of the Epic Games lawsuit, you know, against Apple and Google, it took a very long time for that to play out. So we're not going to get any kind of resolution anytime soon. It would be really nice if some pricing went down, you know, but not gonna count on that anytime soon. So I don't know if you know, if you've been following the story, I want to know what you think. Have these tariffs made you rethink some of your purchases? Did you stop buying Amiibo? Did you decide to stick with your Switch 1 Pro controller instead of buying a Switch 2 Pro controller? Did you buy a Switch 2 right away because you were worried that the price was going to go up because of tariffs? Like, a lot of people did do that. Like, I talked to several people who said, I'm buying a Switch 2 at launch, not because I want Mario Kart World or Donkey Kong Bonanza, but because I don't want to pay more in the future for it. And that makes sense. So if you're one of those people, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think about all this. It's so fascinating, you know, not just as a video game reporter, but also as, you know, I'm kind of a political news junkie. So, like, this is all real fascinating stuff. I don't know. Nintendo ain't happy, and, you know, like I said, a lot of other companies aren't, and consumers aren't happy. So we'll see how this all plays out. So thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, this is DeChamps Rants and Reviews. As I said at the beginning, I talk about all things gaming. You know, we talk about Nintendo a lot. We talk about Pokemon a lot, Xbox, PlayStation, horror movies. I'm a big horror buff. We, talk about all those things. I have impressions of games. I have reviews of games. If you're a Switch 2 owner, I reviewed Layers of Fear Legacy back in January. I gave some impressions of a couple games that are coming to Switch and Switch 2. Over the last over the last few weeks, I've done some impressions. The Pragmata demo, Made of the Hollower demo, Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly remake demo. So if you're new to the channel, please check those things out and think about subscribing and telling your friends, because I love doing this. I love talking to people, and I hope I can do a whole lot more. So thank you so much for watching.